I have created over 10 design portfolios since I started my career in interior design, and I've made many mistakes along the way. In this video, I want to share with you everything that you need to know before you create any interior design portfolio. And there is a surprise by the end of this video, so make sure you watch till the end. Creating your very first design portfolio is actually a very daunting thing. You probably don't even know where to begin, what to include, and what tools to create it with. This is completely normal, but if you really want to be successful in design, you need to know how to make a good one. Most of us think that you first have to create your content, which are your interior design projects, the ones from school, or your own projects, and then somehow package all of that into what will be your portfolio. Organize it into 20 different pages and you will be ready to go. Guys, in fact, this is the perfect recipe for disaster. Today, I'm going to be showing you a very different method which I have incorporated into my last and most recent portfolio. And I think it's the best portfolio that I've made so far. So I'll show you how I did it. So the first thing, and I would say the most important thing, is actually pretty simple. When you are creating your portfolio, you actually need to think ahead. So let me explain this a little bit. So when you are working on your design projects, you already need to be thinking about how those projects will be displayed in your portfolio. And I know it sounds like common sense, but no one really does this. So for example, if I want to include this project, which is a residential project, in my portfolio, so I designed this kitchen and I created the render for it. At this point, I'm already thinking about how this is going to be incorporated into my final portfolio. But whenever you're working on any project, and this can include academic projects or personal projects, you want to think about this. It's going to be really hard if you create your content in random sizes and then you want to somehow try to fit that into 11 by 17 page. And maybe you will even have to go back to some projects and adjust their size so that they look better on your portfolio. So for every project, you want to include a variety for different types of drawings. You want to include floor plans, also elevations, realistic renders, and really just to show whoever is reading that you are able to work in all these different areas of design. So for example, for this project that I have in my portfolio, this one right here, so I wanted to include a site plan for this specific project because I thought that the location was like a very important part of this project. So what I ended up doing is that I had to think that this site plan was going to be on this side of the page. And actually for this one, what I had to do is I had to adjust the size because the original file was printed on a larger sheet of paper, which was like a construction drawing. But for presentation purposes, I had to adjust the size and I also had to change the orientation. The original file, the project is viewed as a landscape, but I wanted to include it as a portrait. So I just rotated it to be able to include it in this type of layout. So this is the printed version of my recent portfolio. And here you can see that I have some images that are larger than others. So I recommend that you start by creating some drafts on your preferred layouts to organize your work inside of your pages. So to give you a better idea of how I came up with this final layout and this final design, I want to show you what I did to design this. So it's a really good idea to have a physical copy of your interior design portfolio. This way you can actually look at it, you can feel it, you can see if something looks odd, and you can even send it to interior design companies. Not only do I need to organize my pages, but I also need to include all the different sections that I need to have for this portfolio. So first up, we need a cover page. I don't really know how my cover page is going to look, but that will be the last thing that I'm going to worry about. So I just want to add a note so that I don't forget to create it later. When people open my portfolio, whether that's an employer or a client or whoever I want to show my portfolio to, the first thing that I want people to see is my design philosophy and a brief introduction about myself. So you might want to do that as well. This is something that I've never done in previous portfolios, but I believe that it is such an important part that allows you to have a more personalized portfolio and really show your personality right off the bat. If you are not familiar with design philosophies, it's basically a short phrase that describes and summarizes how you approach design. What are your design values and really your philosophy as a designer? You can view this as your About Me section. but make sure you keep this aligned to interior design, and this should not be a bibliography of your life. Now, adding a headshot or a picture of yourself in your introduction pages is completely optional. You don't really have to, and people will have different opinions on this, but this time I do want to include a picture of myself to complete my introduction section. I always like to collect magazines of interiors because they are a great inspiration for interior design portfolios. So I have here a bunch of booklets and magazines, and I am going to go over them and see the different layout options just to get some inspiration and ideas which I could use for my own portfolio. So after I have an idea of what a good composition is, I can start drafting some layout options. When I was creating my very first design portfolios when I was back in design school, I made a lot of mistakes, but I remember that one of the mistakes that really cost me a lot and that I still see a lot of people do these days is that they make a very generic portfolio. So this really means that people and designers tend to think about a portfolio as a one piece of document that, first of all, does not need to be modified, and second of all, will be used to apply to very different types of companies and to work on different places. Now, this is a huge mistake. So the first thing that you want to know and that you gotta keep in mind is that your portfolio is a work in progress. So even though right now I might think that this portfolio looks amazing and I'm really happy with it, a year from now, this should not look exactly the same because I'm still working on projects, I'm thinking to perfect some things, I'm still gaining new skills. Probably my goal is to become even better at creating realistic renders. So all of that has to be in your portfolio. So you need to keep updating it every once in a while, because that's the only way that you're really advancing in your career and that you can see the progress in your portfolio. So it's super important to keep working on it, keep revising it every 3 months or every time that you complete a new project or that you learn a new skill. Keep adding all of that into your portfolio. It's not a one-time thing that you create and you're set for life. That's not really how it works. And the second mistake that I made for many years and that I want to emphasize on is that you should have different versions of your portfolio. For example, if you're looking for a job and you want to work in companies that focus on residential interior design, that's what they want to see in your portfolio. So you want to make sure that the projects that you include when you are submitting your portfolio to them, you want to include residential projects for the most part, or you want to include residential projects first, and then if you have a commercial project that you are very proud of or that you think that it's really good, you can also include it, but not in the first, like it shouldn't be the first, the second, or the third project. Probably it's the fourth project. So it works exactly the same if you're applying for companies that work on commercial projects. That's what you want to show first to them so that your portfolio is actually something that they are interested in. So I hope that you incorporate those tips into your portfolio to make it better and better each day. And before I go, I want to tell you what the surprise is. So I'm working on creating a workshop where I will be diving deep into all of the steps that I took to create this type of portfolio, including how I was able to print it like this, and really all the details about creating a portfolio. And a lot of information is going to be in that workshop. So if you are interested in that, you can sign up to my newsletter in the description of this video. And if by the time you are watching this, it's already launched, then there will be a second link where you can access the workshop. But if you are watching this just as I published it, then it's not going to be there. So there's only going to be one link, which is the link to my newsletter. So if you sign up to my newsletter, I will be sending you an email whenever the workshop is live so that you can access that and really know how I was able to create this. So I hope that is helpful, guys. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them on the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.